And good Monday evening. It is Monday, September 30th, just at 5 p.m. We are continuing our Ask the Candidates series. We kicked it off a couple weeks ago for the Ward 1 primary in Newport City Council, and we have restarted it. It is going to run this week as well as next week. We are chatting with candidates for Newport City Council as well as Newport School Committee. See the full schedule at whatsupnoop.com, and then just look for our Ask the Candidates section. We have, 610 candidates for Newport City Council, 610 candidates for Newport School Committee, all who have scheduled the time to join us, to talk to us, tell us about why they're running and why you should vote for them. I will make note that we have invited every single candidate for Newport City Council, Newport School Committee. So if you go on that link, you don't see your favorite candidate or a candidate that's related to you, send them a note and say, hey, check out What's Up Noop's email. They emailed you on August 19th and invited you to sit down. These are meant to for you to get to know the candidate. So if you have a question, you can drop questions in wherever you may be watching this, and I will be monitoring them, and we will get them asked. Kicking off the Newport School Committee race, we are starting with a newcomer, which she's brave and she's joined us first, and she is Molly Kapstein Cote. Molly, how are you?
I'm well, Ryan. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Of course, and thank you for joining us. You signed up here pretty quickly. You were among one of the first city council members who is also a new candidate to sign right up and join us, so we appreciate you doing that. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So for people who came to the forum, they've heard this before, but full disclosure, I'm not a Newporter. I wasn't born at Newport Hospital, and I didn't grow up in Newport, and that's probably my biggest character flaw. But again, I've said this in the past, I'm more like Rudy Rudebaker, the Notre Dame football fan who worked really hard and finally got on the team. And likewise, I've come to Rhode Island my whole life. My family is all from here, and I've wanted to live in Newport my whole life, and finally, worked really hard and was able to move here about 5 years ago. So aside from that, and my love of our great city, I worked for about 23 years as a litigator. I worked for the Attorney General's office as a prosecutor, and I also worked as a defense attorney for a long time. I handled matters in the Newport Superior and District Courts, and really got to know a lot of the community and a lot of the issues that face the community and continue to face the community, and are reflected in our school system. And I'm passionate about public education, and we need to take responsibility as a system, I think, and address some of the issues that our students face every day that may serve as a barrier to getting the education that they deserve. So that's a little bit about me. I'm a mom, so I have a daughter who I hope to send to Rogers next year. And I currently work as the Chief Policy Officer for the state's Commissioner on Higher Ed. So I have a unique and distinct, same thing, perspective on the Newport Public Schools. I get to see from post-secondary, which is both college, university, but also job training and work skills and workforce development, get to see from that point of view how Newport's doing. And our numbers are kind of better than RIDE's numbers for some of the things we look at as far as, getting a college degree or getting a good paying job. And so I see where things end up after Rogers. And some of it's good and some of it could be much improved. And so that's why I'm here to hopefully win people's votes and get on the school committee and get to work.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you're a mom, you are busy with work. What gives you that push that says, I need to run for school committee? That's it. What is it?
I've always known that I've wanted to get involved in the Newport Public Schools. I've taught myself in higher ed at Roger Williams Law School and Salve, but that's much different than our elementary and secondary school system. I guess that the thing that pushes me, not only is my daughter going to be joining, Rogers next year, but I come from a family of teachers, and I, more importantly, come from grandparents who dedicated their life to public education. My grandfather served on the school committee in Providence in the 50s and 60s. He organized teachers for the first time and was the head of the NEA. And that was at a time when teachers couldn't leave the classroom to go to the bathroom. They didn't have hot water in the bathrooms. They had trouble. They didn't have any support if something dangerous happened in the classroom. So they were working in untenable scenarios. And by organizing, they were able to get the supports they needed through their contracts to be able to do the best work they could and get the best results they could for their students. And so I've always been inspired by my grandparents. My grandfather also was a state rep and worked with Senator Pell on developing the first Pell grants. So this is just something I come from. It's in my blood, and it's something I care deeply about and want to make sure that our public school system in Newport is operating as best and as well as it can, and that every Newport student can actually get an excellent education, in my opinion.
What's it going to take to get there?
So it's a few things. There's a lot of different approaches, and there's a lot of different plans we could think about. And I'm not going to say that I know the answer right now, because there's a lot of things I want to look at. I write policy for the state, so I'm very data driven. I'm very results driven. So I think what it's going to take to get there in a perfect world, I think. And again, I'm open to anything that is going to get our students the most resources, the best education, and result in the most student success. At the end of the day, public education is about students and student success. But ideally, we have 3 schools. We're a perfect community to have a strong system where each school, and this sounds silly because each school does have a mission and a role, and they're aware of that, but make it even easier. Really define what their role is and give them specific goals that they need to achieve that help the system as a whole. So, Pell would feed into Thompson, would feed into Rogers. And I think the best example of this is focusing on reading and math. Obviously, Newport is terribly behind the curve in these 2 subjects. And in order to graduate students who can successfully follow a career path, they need those skills. And so we need to be doing what we can at the elementary level, at the middle school level, and at the high school level on an overall system-wide basis with one mission flowing through all the schools in order to be successful in this area and bring those numbers up and make sure our students have these basic skills. So again, kind of like better defining the role of each school and assigning tasks that help the schools and support the teachers in knowing exactly what they need to deliver and giving them the resources to be able to do that. But with such a small school system and strong leadership, it can happen. And aside from that, obviously money and budget is always going to play into it. So, I would want to take a very hard look at the budget, see where everything is going specifically. Hopefully efforts aren't being duplicated and other things aren't slipping through the cracks. But that's the first really easy way to kind of find loose change and be able to use that money where we need it. I think we also have to look at strengthening our partnerships with all of these incredible local resources that we have, who are willing to step up and take on some of the things that we need in the schools. I mean, things like places like Newport Mental Health, the Martin Luther King Center, Conexión Latino, and the list goes on and on. There's just so many resources we have for so many different things that students need, and quite frankly, the public schools are responsible for. There, we have the community partners and should be building those partnerships to provide resources for our kids. Also look at, are we getting the right amount of money from the state? Is the state formula something that is working for Newport? And, are we missing grant opportunities? Are we missing other programmatic opportunities to apply for monies, and developing private partnerships? There are a lot of charitable foundations out there who are very interested in education and public education, who could provide sustainable sources of money, which is always the issue. Is we want to become excellent, and we want to be able to put great programs into place, but those programs need to be sustainable.
I'm wondering, and I preface this, and I always try to preface it anytime I talk about education in Newport, especially with the superintendent or any candidate, that the students can hear what we're saying, and there are good things going on at Newport Public Schools, and
Absolutely.
I often don't think that we talk about them enough. Coming from the news business, I know what people click on, and
Right.
it's not often good news. But I'm wondering what you think the state of the Newport Public School system is right now, and we hear a lot of stuff. There's a lot of numbers, especially during a campaign season. Where do you think we actually are right now?
So I actually think that we're in a much better place than people realize. So, as I've gone through this process, I've talked to a lot of people, and I've gotten to learn about a lot of different perspectives and how different people who are involved, parents, students, people on the school committee, in government, all over the place. Everybody's different perspective on the school system. And yeah, there's things we can improve on for sure, and we need to. But I think the community aspect and the support for Rogers and Thompson and Pell is there. And all the schools are doing some really great things. But because, like you said, being part of the news media, we only hear about the bad stuff. But like I said a few moments ago, we have this great community of parents and teachers and administrators who, when I talk to them, regardless of what side they're on or how they feel, we all are in this for the same thing, and that's to make our students and our kids successful and be able to graduate, be able to go to college if that's what they want to do, be able to work and get a good paying job in Newport. I'm kind of tired of hearing the stories of lifelong Newporters who grew up here and then are in a situation where they have to move because it's too expensive to live in Newport. And so I think the public education system is the foundation for building a stronger community where people who are from here, come here, love it here, can be here and afford to be together and forge a really strong community relationship across the city. So I think that things are good. I mean, we have some good CTE programs, and I think we can even improve that better. I think from meeting a lot of teachers in the system, they really care. And, we want to support them in a way that they can perform at their best and give our students their best and make our students the best they can be.
Just to plug quickly, I just finished writing about Newport Public Education's An Evening for Education. That's a mouthful. On October 17th, if you want to hear about good stuff happening in Newport Public Schools, this is to the readers, not you. You probably know about this event. Check out that event. You can read all about it. They're going to honor and award some really great people in Newport Public Schools. I'm wondering what you think, knowing that I'm going to ask what the opposite side of it, or I'll just ask once, what is Newport School Committee doing well right now, and what do you think their biggest opportunity is? Why do they need somebody like you as one of their members?
I think that anytime you have a set of fresh eyes, like mine would be, I can come in and I think one of the skills I can really offer to the Newport Public Schools and to the school committee is I'm a problem solver. So I like to get involved. I can spot issues very easily, and then I like to form, a plan that's going to work. And so that takes working together with a lot of different people, not just school committee members. But I think the school committee is they all have their heart in the right place, and they're doing everything they can to make the schools become the best they can be. I think some of the areas that can use some improvement are communication with the city council. Obviously, they approve the budget, and we need, as a school committee, if I was elected, we need to be able to go to the city council, have a good relationship with them, be able to talk with them, and if we're asking for money, present a budget that's realistic with what we would plan to do with it, and then be accountable for following through and attaining those goals and returning deliverables. So, again, data-driven plans that can be measured, the results can be measured, and then if things aren't going the way they should, you can pivot and adjust those plans. So I think the school committee, I've met a lot of people on it. I think they're great people. People don't understand how much work it is to be on the school committee, and they don't have staff. They do everything themselves, and they work really, really hard for our kids. And so that's something I think people don't realize. And I just think it sometimes takes a fresh set of eyes or a fresh attitude to say, I expect people to say to me, if I have ideas, well, we've tried that, and here's why it doesn't work. And my approach in my job and my career has always been, I don't really want to hear why it doesn't work, but, how can we make it work? And I enjoy working with people from all different backgrounds. And even if I disagree, I want to know about someone's perspective on something and why they believe what they believe. And I'm transparent and happy to share, what I think as well. And when you do that and you listen to everyone, you can really find a common ground where you can make progress and get agreements and come up with plans that are going to work because people are on board and people want things to be successful. And I think nowhere is that more true than in Newport and talking about our school system and our kids. Everybody wants our students to succeed. In the long run, it makes our city stronger. We turn out students who are going to be able to stay in Newport, who want to be engaged in the community. And that's something that it would just be, in my opinion, to reach that goal would be incredible for the students in the city as a whole.
I agree with you. Newport School Committee does put a tremendous amount of time. Whether you disagree with somebody who's on committee or on council, you have to at least respect the amount of time they put in, as well as all the candidates who are doing all of this. Sometimes when reading or attending forums or doing these, you do hear people who have such wide-ranging different ideas on what should be done with regionalization or Rogers or declining enrollment. And, I'm just wondering where you land on some of those things. What should we be doing to make sure that your daughter can go to Rogers High School, the new high school? And, are you concerned about declining enrollment? And the superintendent last week told us that, they might consider moving 5th grade at Thompson back to Pell Elementary. Just all the shifting as well as the other ideas out there and how people might see it as negative.
So I think, there are a lot of balls up in the air right now for the Newport Public Schools, and we kind of have to grab them out of the air one at a time, or more than one at a time, and just address them head on. What's the root of this issue and how do we address it? And I think the reason I care so much about public schools is I went to public school until I went to law school, is that it's a place where you meet people from every single different background, no matter, how much money a family makes or doesn't make, or, what their cultural background, whatever it is. And we need to celebrate that diversity and teach students how to, again, like understand other people's perspectives and celebrate that. So I think, we have to finish Rogers, and that's going to happen, and then I think we need to meet every student where they are. We have to be able to address the unique needs of every single student walking through the doors of our schoolhouses, right? So, we have a 40% Latino population in our school system now, and some people think that's a challenge. I think it's an incredible opportunity, right? So we can learn from people of different cultures, or, everyone can learn from one another, but it gives us this opportunity to figure out what people need to be a success and to come out of Rogers. And like I said, and I keep kind of going back to it, we want to get students to be able to have a choice, regardless of background. Every student should have the opportunity to do what they want to do post-graduation, and whether that's get a good job and learn some really important skills while still at Rogers, that is incredible. Whether people want to go to college, whatever they want to do, I think it's the public school's responsibility to provide access to learning opportunities that give them those opportunities after graduation. And so every student is different. Every student is a different person. Every student learns a different way regardless. And we have to recognize that and find a way to support our teachers to be able to, again, meet each student where they are and teach them in a way that they can learn and get fantastic skills and knowledge so that they will be a success after graduation.
I'm sure you've had these conversations many times over since you announced back in June with individuals, maybe with members of school committee, other staff at Newport Public Schools. Just wondering what the response has been to you running. What have you heard?
I've heard really good things. I mean, people really like that I'm so passionate about this and kind of just common sense. And willing to listen and, open to everyone's point of view, perspective, idea. I just want to gather as much information as I can and join a team where we can do the best we can do for our community and for our students. At the end of the day, this is about students and our kids. And, again, our public school system is responsible for making our students successful. And, teaching things and that create community members who want to strengthen the city. And so, I feel very strongly about that. But I have great conversations with people who have been in the so-called industry, worked in education for their whole lives. And I've had great conversations with people, who have children in the system, who are people who are employers who tell me what they're looking for students coming out of Rogers in order to get better paying jobs and reach that goal of being able to stay here. So I'm getting a lot of good feedback. People are telling me they like what I have to say and that I'm open-minded. I think I work very well with people. I've met people from, as I said, all different backgrounds and points of views with different opinions on what should happen with the schools. Even when people say, oh, I don't have kids in the schools, it doesn't matter. I say, of course it does. You're a community member here. And at the end of the day, a strong public school system is the basis for a strong community. But again, that's going back to the students, the end game, the goal, the person we are looking out for is the Newport student.
Possibly. I'm going to assume here, which never does well for anybody. Possibly your biggest critic, your daughter. How does your daughter feel about mom running for school committee?
Yeah, but I have an incredible daughter, and we actually, I'm very thankful for the relationship we have. We're very close. She's an only child, and she's been through a lot, and she's a strong kid, and so I guess I don't know what she doesn't really have a critique. She's used to me being involved in a number of things at once. So I think for her to see the real education side come out of me in a really passionate way is something she's not necessarily used to. So I think it's fascinating for her. But I've always told her that, this is what I come from. This is who I am. And making sure that things are fair and people, regardless of their background, have the opportunity to succeed.
And she's quite young, so probably doesn't have it lined up yet. But is she heading towards the public education field or way yet? Does she know that runs in the blood?
She has so much to figure out, and she's really great at kind of living in the moment. So she, I don't think there's a lot of things she's interested in, but she certainly hasn't set herself into one career yet. I mean, by the time I was 15, 16, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer and be in public service. That's what it is for me. That's what I come from and what I believe in. And also I was kind of a failed musical theater person. And so, how do you get a captive audience after that? Well, a jury. That's
there you go.
That's a terrible joke, but
that's okay. It's my mother-in-law is a jury supervisor and my wife is a lawyer, so I got the joke.
So all right, good. So you get it. But like I said at the beginning, the issues I dealt with both as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney are issues that the public school system faces and can be addressed. And so working in education, I obviously work in education during the day as well. And it's a very rewarding way to deal with the same types of issues that all parts of our community face. And so it would be really an honor to be able to serve on the school committee and help every family in Newport and every student in Newport get a great education. I believe that Newport can be a system of excellence from the post-secondary or post-high school perspective that I have. I can see that while some of our other numbers are not great, but really something we can improve. We're not that far off from the state average on post-secondary attainment as far as people going to college, getting jobs, and being successful. We have a little way to go in Newport, but it's a realistic distance. And if we kind of focus on that in some way, I think that's going to be the string that kind of pulls students to success from Pell to Thompson to Rogers to their future.
I want to pull this up. For more information or to contact Molly, you can do so by emailing her at votemollykc@gmail.com. And Molly is Molly for those who might listen to this later and they can't see it on the screen. So it's votemollykc@gmail.com. Was there anything, Molly, that we did not get to today that you wanted to make sure that we brought up?
I don't think so. I want to just reiterate that I am happy to talk to anyone, and I answered that email, and I'm happy to set up phone conversations, coffee meetings, whatever. I want to hear what everyone, and I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. I want to hear what people want to happen in the schools, and so I can start thinking about solutions that take into account as many people as possible. And so please reach out to me. I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same kind of handle, I guess, Vote Molly KC. But please reach out to me, and I'm happy to talk to people. And I'll be walking and look forward to meeting more Newporters as the next few weeks go by.
Yeah, and 36 days until general election day, and voting starts here in 2 weeks, the 16th. So, well, we wish you the very best of luck. I thank you for taking the time to talk with us, and it's great. I love doing these interviews because I get to meet people myself.
Right.
And I'm hoping that's what people are also taking the opportunity to do, is learn about people in their community. Because that's what we're trying to do in this series is, hey, this is why this person's running, and show the person behind him and not just the name that's going to be on the ballot.
Right.
So, right. Molly, we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to talk with you. And I hope I get to, I hope the Newporters will seriously consider voting for me. And I can promise you I will be a dedicated hard worker, problem solver, and I will improve the Newport public school system.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Molly. That is Molly Kapstein Cote, and she is available to email at votemollykc@gmail.com. That's going to do it for this interview. We appreciate Molly for taking the time to join us. We have lots of other Newport School Committee candidates coming up over this week and next week. You can find the full schedule on whatsupnoop.com. And again, the general election, November 5th, and early voting begins in just a couple of weeks here. Vote.ri.gov to see sample ballots, find out if you're registered, and all of that good stuff. Thanks for watching.